Hi there. My name's Erik Morgan, and I'm sitting here at Organic Approach today. And it's a little bit of a chilly day outside, so we're going to do a video from inside. Today's video is going to be what is a pesticide? And depending on how you approach that question, that can be a very broad question or it can be a somewhat more narrow question. And I think your goal probably is to narrow it down. But I think it's important to address the fact that. Um, there are different ways to cachet this question, if you will. And one way would be, regulatory agencies, the EPA, so on and so forth. And what they're going to do is they're going to expand that definition as far as they can humanly expand it for regulatory purposes, because that's their job. They're a regulatory agency. I'm not a big fan of regulatory agencies. Put that on the table. That's life. But to give you an example, one of their definitions, and there are many, this is just a brief synopsis right here, but one of the definitions is any nitrogen stabilizer. Okay. Um, I'm not sure about that because if you say that a soluble humate can stabilize a nitrate form of nitrogen and provide a better delivery and a slower delivery, a non-leaching, non-volatilizing, waste of nitrogen that gets into the water table and runs off into the streams and bays and so on and so forth. I'm not sure how that qualifies as a pesticide. I'm sure there's a definition, but it's so far reaching and so broad that what they're trying to do is basically capture every possible thing they can in order to be able to justify regulation in every way they can. That's their job, that's their business. I'm just here to expose a very broad approach to the definition of a pesticide. Um, they also talk about repelling, the EPA, repelling. If we make a plant super healthy, inside nutritionally, just super healthy, such that its energetic frequency is such that it repels a pest. They're saying that that also is a pesticide in their definition. So very broad again. So now I'm going to do what I don't normally do, and I'm going to go to a definition from Wikipedia. And they say, in general, a pesticide is a chemical or biological agent, such as a virus, bacterium, fungus, that deters, incapacitates, kills, or otherwise discourages pests. Okay, that's getting closer. Okay, that's narrowing it down. What I'd like to do is take all of that and I'd like to narrow it down in a big way and say, are we all familiar with an umbrella? Okay, beach umbrella. Then I'd like to say, are we familiar with what the underside of a beach umbrella looks like? And if you look at a beach umbrella, you see all these supporting rods, if you will, that hold that umbrella up and hopefully keep it from those nice ocean winds from tearing it to pieces. So what I'd like to propose is that an umbrella is really that's the term pesticides. It's an umbrella term, okay? So pesticides means side, the suffix to kill or to control or to cut down, and pest is basically anything unwanted, whether it's an insect, a disease pathogen, a rodent like a mouse or a rat, some form of algae like an algicide, and the list goes on and on. So, but let's go back to those supporting rods. Those supporting rods are actually, uh, each one of them can be algicide, rodenticide, insecticide, fungicide, miticide, and you can go wherever your imagination goes. So now what I'd like to say to you and what I'd like to propose is that a pesticide is an umbrella term, and your job when you're asking yourself, what pesticide should I reach for? You have to actually think about those rods underneath. And you have to say, well, what's my pest? Is my pest a mite? Or is my pest a mouse? Or is my pest a weed, like an herbicide? Or is my pest an insect or a disease? Once you determine that, now you can start uncovering the world of pesticides. What is a pesticide? So I'm going to leave all this go for a moment, and I'm just going to say to you that when you talk about a chemical pesticide, generally speaking, chemical pesticides are going to be fairly broad in their action. So if you say you define the fact that you need an insecticide, a lot of your chemical insecticides are going to be broad spectrum. So they're not only going to take out your insect pest, but they're probably going to take out a number of potential insect pests, most of which you probably do not have. And then they're probably going to take out a bunch of other pests or non pest, maybe beneficial insects or microbes that are on the plant or in the plant who serve a purpose to keep the plant healthy and or protected. So what I'm offering to you is that really the point of us being organic approach and the point of an organic approach in general, which is why I named the company what I named it a long time ago, is that we're trying to be a little bit commonsensical about how we approach pests. And what I would argue with you is that when we use the broad spectrum chemical pesticides, we are trying to take everything and kill it all at once. And necessarily, we are getting some of our beneficial organisms at the same time, which is not what we want to do because they help to protect our plants. They help to uh, give our plants nutrition that our plants would not otherwise be able to get. And the list goes on. So now I want to segue over to what a organic or a biological pesticide would look like. um, let's assume that we get to the point where we've tried everything to promote plant health as far as we can. Let's assume that we've decided we have a disease problem, and that disease is, uh, let's just say, uh, black spot on a rose, or let's say we have some sort of disease spot on potatoes. Uh, the whole point is that we need to identify what the pathogen is. In a tomato, it might be late blight. In a dogwood, it might be anthracnose. But we have to decide what is the pathogen. If we do not highly identify and accurately identify the pathogen, or the insect. When we are using biological or organic products, we're going to find ourselves in trouble. Here's why. A chemical product is made to be, as we just defined, broad spectrum. So it's kind of like a catch all. That way we can not really know what we're dealing with, but we can throw everything but the kitchen sink at it and probably get it. Well, that's how we got ourselves into this problem environmentally and health risks and things like this. It's how we got ourselves into that problem. So, what we're being challenged to do in an organic world, so to speak, is we're being challenged to think of um, our problems in a more common sense and intelligent way. We're being asked to define accurately what is our pest, what is our problem, what is our challenge. Now we're being asked to go to a toolkit of biological or organic pesticides to try to buy time until we can figure out what with our plant nutritionally or otherwise is not right, such that we are falling prey to this pest. Pest being a fungus, an insect, a mite, whatever. So, that said, I urge you to always make sure that with a biological or organic approach toward a pesticide, that you make sure you identify your pest accurately, because then when you reach for a product that could help you to control, say, a certain disease on a certain vegetable crop, you might grab Bacillus subtilis, otherwise known as Serenade opti or Serenade aso, which are organically certified fungicides. But what you need to understand is that they're, instead of being very broad spectrum, where you can throw the whole kitchen sink at it, and probably catch your pest problem and kill it along with a whole bunch of beneficials, you are now being tasked with the responsibility to accurately identify your pest, accurately identify what biological control or organic control or suppression product will most effectively help you, excise that very specific pest problem that you are going after. And so it's harder for you. It requires you to spend a little more time diagnosing your issue. But at the end of the day, these biological products or these organic products, maybe it's an azadirachtin extract from neem oil that you're using to go after an insect pest uh, that's hard to target, like a leaf miner inside the plant leaf, and you're being asked to be very specific. But by doing that extra work with that biological control or that organic approach, say using azadirachtin extract from neem oil, by going that extra mile, what you're not doing is you're not contaminating your environment, you're not contaminating your food with, you know, broad spectrum chemical pesticides that are going to cause problems to the environment or for you. From a health perspective, you are being very selective. You're going after your pest, you're suppressing it, you're buying yourself time to fortify your crop, your plant, and get back to a health first approach. And so I'll stop there so that we don't get too far down into the weeds, so to speak. But that's an overview of pesticides, the umbrella being the general umbrella term pesticides. And then we have to get really specific and identify which pest do we have, looking at these rods. Is it a fungus? Is it an insect, mite, and so on? Maybe it's a weed or an herbicide. And then you just identify it, and then you select very carefully how you want to approach that so you have the least impact on the environment at large or on your own personal health or your family's health. So that's what we were here to talk about today. What is a pesticide? There are a lot of definitions, but hopefully we got you where you want to go. Okay? Take care, and thanks for joining us here at Organic Approach today. My name's Erik Morgan, and we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out.